Hi, this is Richie Kotzen, and you're listening to the Paulie Show.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the Paulie Z Show, and this is episode number 26, and today's special guest is none other than Richie Kotzen. For those who may not have been lucky enough to see him live, well, you got to see him. He's touring recently in the States, and I know he's doing a lot of international shows, and we were very lucky because ZO2 just got to play with Richie Kotzen and his band in Virginia just few days ago. Well, actually, a few days ago is from the taping of this episode. But anyway, I digress. The point is, I have him on the phone. This is Mr. Richie Kotzen, the guitar player, singer, and musician extraordinaire. Richie, say hello.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What'd you think of my intro? I pumped it up as much as I could over there.
It was very good. Very cool.
So, all right. So, real quickly, for those who don't know, because I'm a big fan, so if someone said Richie Kotzen, I know exactly what they're talking about. But for those who don't know, real quick, just a real brief, history of what you've done. Your main break, if I'm not mistaken, your big break was you were in Poison, right? You've replaced
Right.
CC for the Native Tongue album, correct?
That's right. That's correct.
And that was like sort of the big break, and then. To me, which was even cooler, I think, was when you replaced Paul Gilbert in Mr. Big, and you were with Mr. Big for a little while, and when they were still doing really, really well, and you guys had some pretty big songs. How was that?
It was great. Both situations were interesting in the sense that I was kind of coming in as a band member. Prior to Poison, I had already done 3 solo records and had some notoriety as a guitar player, but nothing like what Poison was, being a big multi-platinum band. So it was very cool, very educational, and a great experience. After that ended, I went back to doing the solo, signed to Geffen and a bunch of other labels, and kind of went through that whole industry thing. And around 99, I was asked to play with Mr. Big. And initially, my response was no, only because I was already in another band with Stanley Clarke at the time, and I just didn't think that I could separate myself and do both things. And then later realized that a lot of the activity that was happening with Mr. Big was based in Japan, which meant I really only needed to be available for about a month or 2 at a time. And so that was my involvement in Mr. Big, and that led to 2 studio records and a live DVD. And then when that ended, I went back to doing what I love, and doing my own records and touring, and that's what I'm doing now today.
So you're saying if Mr. Big was doing stuff here in the States, you probably wouldn't have done it?
No, all I'm saying is that, well, in a way, if they were more active, I wouldn't have physically been able to do it because I was already in another group, and I was already leaving to... When I was making the records for Mr. Big, I had a European tour already booked with Stanley Clarke. So my point with Mr. Big was that their whole thing was primarily a Japanese thing.
Right.
And it was, at least when I was in the band. Now with their reunion, I know they went all over the place, which is great. But because it required a limited amount of time, it was easier for me to make that move from dealing with the fact that I already was in the band and then joining a second band. And also in 99, I had released 2 solo records, so it was a pretty busy time for me. It was, kind of out of control. Actually, I left. They were still recording the record, the Mr. Big record, when I left to go on the road. So it was kind of a crazy year. It was a fun year, and I did a lot of work that I'm really happy with.
That's great. Well, now let's talk about, so I knew you from Mr. Big, and actually, I got to give props where props are due. I mean, I knew who you were from both those bands, but after that, I didn't know anything else. I didn't follow. I didn't know what was going on. And sort of the same with Glenn Hughes. I don't know if you're a Glenn Hughes fan, but I knew him.
I know Glenn really well. Yeah, we've written together and been on records together. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I love it. He was actually on my podcast. I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, 3 months ago, and
Awesome.
yeah, and he's an interesting character to talk to. He's a good storyteller. But it's same kind of thing. Like I knew him in Deep Purple, and that was it. Like I didn't I didn't know what he was doing after that. And then I found out about his solo stuff, and I just fell in love. Now, I found out about your solo stuff from Eddie Trunk. When
Oh, wow, cool,
yeah,
right on, yeah.
And I'm sure he's been like he's been sort of a champion for you for like just trying to get your name out here over here because he's constantly talking about it to people. And we were on my band ZO2 was on his show, and I think it was off air. We were just talking, and I was telling him about all these new bands I was finding out from, bands from England and and Australia, whatever. And he's like, oh, Paulie, you know who you should listen to? Richie Kotzen. Do you know who Richie Kotzen? I said, yeah, isn't that the guy? And I said, isn't that the guy who was in Poison, Mr. Big? I know who he is. He goes, no, but you got to hear his solo stuff. He's like the voice of Chris Cornell with the guitar playing of, Stevie Ray, like, or any of the great guitar players. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I couldn't put that combination together. I said, no, nobody's got both, all right? You're either a kick-ass guitar player or you're a fucking kick-ass singer, all right?
Right, sure.
So, sure. Obviously not, because when I don't remember what the first album was that I got of yours, but I went to, to store. I got a few of them. Not easy to find, by the way, and I found a few of them, and dude, I fell in love. I love your stuff.
Thanks.
And now look, as from one singer to another, I can really appreciate, and a singer guitar player. I'm not nearly as good as you when it comes to guitar playing, but I still know what the challenges are of having to tackle two jobs like that and make them both work. And he wasn't kidding. I mean, your voice is, I don't know what's better, the voice or the guitar playing. I don't know. I always thought of you as a guitar player. And then when I saw that Mr. Big DVD and I saw you and Eric Martin, doing like a back and forth on some of those songs, I was just like, it blew my mind. What do you see yourself as more? Like, can you say I'm a guitar player that happens to be able to sing, or I'm a singer that can play guitar, or I'm just a musician?
Yeah, I think for me it's the fact it's all together as one thing. I mean, I've been doing what I'm doing for a long time, and a lot of it is kind of under the radar, and there's always somebody new kind of getting clued into what it is that I'm about. But ultimately, I'm really at my best when I'm doing what I'm doing, when I'm singing and playing my music. So, for me to divide it and say, okay, you're only going to sing or you're only going to play the guitar, it would be I kind of feel like I was cheating myself, because what the joy of music for me is the feeling of writing a song and then getting the opportunity to sing it and play on it, and play it live. So definitely look at myself as a musician. I really don't divide it. I mean, my primary instrument is guitar and voice, and I think I'm pretty much just as comfortable doing either one. I love doing both. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Do you play, I heard you play a killer piano also. Do you play any other instruments like drums, bass?
Well, yeah, I'm not going to create the illusion that I'm a killer at anything. I mean, I can play enough other instruments to play my songs. So, for example, on the Peace Sign album, on the new record, I play all the instruments on there. With the exception of 4 songs, I had a friend of mine come in and play drums, only because conceptually what I was hearing, I can't physically play on the drums. So it made sense to call somebody. But, I've done that a lot, like the record Get Up or Into the Black. I'm the only musician on those records. And then sometimes I don't do that. I go faster. I put together a band just for the record because I wanted to kind of get input from other people. So it all depends on where I'm at creatively and how I'm feeling about the music I'm making. I kind of, I play, sometimes I play everything, and sometimes I just, call people in to work with me.
Well, that's the luxury of being your own boss and doing things the way you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's great. Now, here's my
arguments with myself.
Here's my issue, though, with you is that not an issue. It's not your fault, but not only are you an amazing singer, not only are you an amazing guitar player, and I hate showering you with all these compliments because you probably get it all the time, but you're also you're a great looking dude. What the fuck? I mean, really?
That's
like,
funny.
what did your parents do?
You must be seeing something that I'm not seeing.
Oh, come on. Yeah, right. You're telling me you're telling me you don't get, like, first of all, I don't know if you're married or have a girlfriend, whatever, but I know that you must have had just like, like pussy galore, like girls throwing themselves at you. Dude, you got the long hair, you got you got that almost that little Johnny Depp thing happening, very mysterious. You got the tattoos. You're a dude. You're a good-looking dude. Come on, let's face it. I mean,
Well, hey,
look,
man,
I'm not gonna say you're better
yeah.
looking than me. I'm pretty handsome
Right.
guy too. But I'm just
Right.
saying we can go out together. I'm saying and fucking get laid. That's all I'm saying.
That's awesome. That is very
I'm
funny,
just
man.
wondering what the hell did you do to get? You got the triple. You got the what do they call that? The Holy Trinity, the trifecta of rock star. You bastard.
That is hysterical. Well, I mean, but all this stuff is subjective. I mean, I get hate mail from people that don't like my music, and they say all kinds of mean things.
Why?
So I think I don't know. I mean, there's people out there that are. I guess everybody's got their opinion, but hey, man, thanks, man. You put me over real nice. I appreciate that.
Of course, no. I listen. I'm not the one who just doles out compliments. All right, to people of the same gender as myself. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Look, there are some good-looking dudes, and there are some that are not too good-looking. You happen to be in the good-looking pile with me. Just so you know, we're both in sync.
That's great.
But I wanted to ask you a question about. Not only just like musically and stuff, but like what about just industry wise? I mean, you were saying before it is sort of underground. I definitely had a hard time finding a lot of your albums. I don't have all of them, but I have as many as that I've been able to find.
Yeah.
And
totally.
sometimes you can find them overseas on like Amazon or whatever, but you're paying they're charging these crazy the import prices. I'll go up to like maybe $30 for a CD. Like I had to pay for Glenn Hughes, I think $30 for a CD, and I was like, "Fuck, man, that's ridiculous." But do you find that outside of the U.S., is there a big, significant difference in the amount of recognition or attendance or record sales or anything?
Well, I have markets that are valuable to me, like as far as touring goes. Like for example, if I play a gig in Buenos Aires. There's a good chance it's going to be more people in the room than if I play in Philadelphia, for example. So, there's parts of the world where, for whatever reason, maybe I had record deals there in the past or whatever, I have more exposure. Red light. I'm driving here.
I like the way you got to tell red light.
I'm multitasking, man. Anyway, so there's that thing where you have certain territories where you get more exposure and that sort of thing. But as far as getting the music, I mean, honestly. All my stuff at this point is on iTunes. For me personally, when I hear a song I like, I go straight to iTunes. I buy it. It's in my phone, and it's a wrap. So right. I don't really, I don't deal in the world of CDs personally. I have a CD collection, but most of it now is in my computer, so I don't have to be fumbling around with discs.
So why even put out CDs then? Why?
Well, yeah, I don't. And that's really where I'm going with this.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing. Is that it's getting to a point now where a lot of people aren't buying CDs. They're buying individual songs. They're buying singles, not even buying the whole record. And I really think it's getting to a point where the value for people like me that actually play an instrument and record and sing that isn't using machines to make music, my value is in the live show. And eventually I think it's going to turn into a thing where the song will probably become almost free to people, and what the artist is going to really kind of make money is on the show, because that's going to become the value is to go to a concert. You can't steal a concert. The experience of being at a concert.
That's what I say too.
But it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I've constantly been saying that for years now too. I've been saying like you can replace certain things. You can't replace a live experience. Right.
Exactly.
So I mean I get that. So how's it been? As far as touring, how's the touring going? Are the numbers the way you want them? Are you playing the places you want to play?
Look, I can't complain. The reality is that I've been doing this my whole life. I've never done anything other than play music. The truth of the matter is that the United States for me, although it's been good for exposure as far as the songs, and I can kind of see on the statements that I've got just as many people getting the music here as they are in other parts of the world. Touring has been a thing for me where I basically, haven't toured in the States since 1994. So
wow.
now I finally got to a point where I can promote my tours by, by Facebook or social networking sites, and it made sense for me to do them. So I'm trying to build something here in the States on a touring level the way I have it in Europe or the way I have it in Latin America. And so far on this run, overall, I'm pretty happy with the way it's going. We did a show. Part of the reason why I blew my voice out for the Virginia show, the Nashville show, I just, was on stage for like 2 hours carrying on, and I kind of pushed it too hard, so by the time I got to Virginia, like I didn't have much left, but I guess that's just kind of me being excited to even be out, touring in the States.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we talked about this a little bit when we met that night. Like, the guys in my band give me a hard time always because I'm always like, I gotta rest my voice. I need some tea. I need, people don't understand how fragile the vocal cords are. It's not like playing an instrument. And I felt
you're a person, man, totally.
Yeah, and I totally felt for you because I've had, even this last couple of months, because of allergy season, I've been feeling it, and I'm not up to par. You know what I mean? It's like I'm still, I would say in the high 80s or 90 percentile, but it's not where I know I can be. It literally throws my whole performance off because I lose that illusion that I'm a rock god on stage, invincible, and then all of a sudden it kind of brings, you know what I mean? Like those insecurities come back, and now you're like, oh my God, I'm on stage, people are looking at me, because if you crack or you're not hitting the note, it kills that empowerment that I have. Do you feel that too, or did it not really affect you?
I mean, I guess the psychology, is different for everybody, and I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I guess the point is yes. It's like if I'm up there and I know I'm not, like if I play the gig before and I know that I'm at 100%, and then all of a sudden I go in, and I want to be at that 100% every gig, and then I got like, a physical thing I can't help. Yeah, it throws you off. It makes you think like, hey man, I'd almost rather not be on stage right now if I can't be at 100%.
Right.
But I think part of the thing about being a pro is that you got to realize that, you know you're 100%, but nobody else knows unless they've seen every show you've ever done. Nobody else knows. So it's, you got to kind of lean on that a little bit just to get yourself through it. Otherwise, you'll want to just lose your mind knowing that, man, I could do so much better. But
well, that's the big lesson. Yeah, I mean, that's the big lesson I had to learn, and now I'm fine. But there was a time where I was like miserable after the show. I didn't want to talk to him, and they were like, the guys were like, dude, no one knows but you. Even if you mess up, words, there's notes, no one really knows. I mean, especially live, it's very forgiving.
I guess the thing is the thing that happens though too, like, all right, and that's what I hear, but no one knows but you. But the reality is that if I am playing in front of people that don't know me and nobody knows, had I been that much better, I would have gained that many more fans.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say?
That's how
I look at it.
Of course,
so
and
like,
it is what it is. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the same thing like losing weight. When people sometimes they're like, you're on a diet, it's like, you're skinny. I'm like, yes, but there are 3 pounds that I know that I got to get rid of that you don't see. No, you know what I'm saying? No one else is going to see that, but I know it. And it's your mental status. Wherever you are mentally, you have to have that confidence. So
totally.
I totally empathized with you that night. And I really thought you did a great job. And honestly, if you didn't say anything, I don't think anyone would have known. And you're like me. I always tell the people, and I'm like, I'm having a tough time tonight. Sorry guys, whatever. Because if you didn't say anything, I wouldn't have known. Because I was
the thing that's scary too, like for me, like I was thinking like, all right, well, I could really kind of push myself and and push through this. But then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I got like 7 more shows to do without a proper day off. Without a day that I don't have to do something. Right. So I'm just thinking, you know what, man, I got to just take it easy and get through it and do the best I can with the hand that I'm dealt tonight as far as what I'm, how I feel. So
right,
overall, man, it's just another moment, and it's cool, man. I don't get hung up on the past too much. Just, moving forward.
Well, listen, I know you got to run in a few minutes, so before you go, I want to make sure I talk real quick about one of the things that makes, sort of unique to this show is that it's rock and roll and food. And all my listeners know that I'm a big foodie. Food is my drug. I don't drink. Awesome. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke, but I love to eat. And I'm curious, when you guys are on the road, and now it could be in the States, it could be in Spain, or it could be wherever you guys, go. What do you prefer to eat? And is there a particular, maybe a place that you could recommend that you said, look, if you're in Bubblefuck, New York, you got to go to this place?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a food guy. I have this fantasy that if I could take a pill and
no.
not have to eat, and that's why I was laughing earlier when you were talking about this. Like, oh, this is going to be funny. But my fantasy would be just to be able to take like a pill in the morning and then not have to mess with it at all.
Oh, you're one of those guys?
It becomes a distraction. But I will say this. The food that I like to eat is food that's easy to eat.
Like
easy
what?
And quick. So like sushi is great for me. I love that.
Okay.
It's light and it's quick.
Are you a healthy guy? Like, when you do eat, do you try to eat healthy, or do you just eat whatever's convenient?
I try, but I'm not a healthy guy. I just stopped smoking, actually.
I'm not a healthy guy. I like that. He goes, I'm not a healthy guy. Who are you kidding?
No, I mean, I drink like a fish. And
really?
I try to be healthy.
Richie, I'll get you healthy. You got to come hang out. Come hang out with me. I'll get you healthy.
Okay.
I'll get you. We'll be eating. We'll pig out on ribs and burgers and stuff. We'll watch Thundercats. We'll reorganize my G.I. Joe figures. I'll clean you up, buddy. You'll be all clean.
Awesome. Now, where are you? You're based out of where?
I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. Still there. The whole band is. And I'm actually coming to see you at the Highline Ballroom, which by the time this is up, might have already passed, because we usually do a week ahead of time. So right now, this is about a week before the show you're playing in New York. But I'm going to plan to see you.
You are coming to Highline?
Yes, I am. Are you crazy?
Oh, good.
I'm not missing you.
Great.
But are you guys going to have time that day? Like, are you going to be around during the day?
Yeah.
Oh,
so you want to do it?
Yeah. How about this? How about you let me take you? Well, if it's just me and you, I could treat. But if it's the whole group, if everybody, I don't have that kind of dough. Even though I had a TV show and everything, and I'm sort of a big deal in the industry. But I'm kind of broke. But if everybody wants to come, I can let me take you somewhere, and then you like sushi, so I can take you to a good sushi place.
Awesome, that'd be great.
Yeah, I like sushi. I never was into sushi until recently, and now I'm starting to get into it. And you're right, it is. It's healthy. It's quick. It's easy. Huh? I'll put you on a great sushi. Oh, my producer extraordinaire, Alex, said he's going to hook us up with a great sushi place. I'm going to see if I get some money if I can squeeze them for some. Maybe they have some coupons for us. My producers. Can we feed Richie Kotzen? Come on, the poor boy is unhealthy. He hasn't had a day off. He's withering away. Richie.
That's right.
All right. Well, listen, man. I know you got your thing to do, so I don't want to keep you on too long. But I wanted to say thank you so much for giving us some time. I know you have a hectic schedule. I will see you at the Highline. You
have no idea what's happening. I'm walking the streets of Philadelphia right now, and there's cops everywhere. I'm trying to get into another interview, and they're shutting down the streets. So I'm following my manager, who's carrying my guitar, and I'm talking to you. I feel like I'm in you ever feel like that you're trying to focus on something and everything's pulling you away from it? Now the cops are involved.
Yes, I am. Yes, I do. And we call those situations Z-Rock moments, because that's basically what our show is about. Are you familiar at all, real quick, while I have you on the line? Are you familiar with our TV show? Have you heard of Z-Rock?
Not yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to hook you into this. You'll love it. It's a lot of famous rock star guest appearances. It's kind of like Spinal Tap meets Curb Your Enthusiasm meets Entourage, like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, don't get arrested there. And thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing a little bit of your story. I think we should have you on again, because I would love to explore more about your actual. If we had more time, I'd like to really get into your music.
Yeah, but I'm not surrounded by cops.
Right, but I'm glad we did it though, because I wanted to. Since we just played, I thought it'd be good timing just to kind of catch you. All right.
Well, I'll see you in New York, man.
Yes, I will see you at the Highline. And thanks again. Have a good time, and stay healthy. All right. Later, bro. Ciao. All right. So we have now we have a special guest. Usually we just have one person on the show, but today I have a very special bonus for all my listeners. A good friend of mine, Mr. Carmine Appice, has been so nice enough to grace us with his presence and give a little bit call in. Carmine, are you there? Say hello.
Yeah, hi, guys. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm in Manhattan right now, and I got in a couple of nights ago, and nice day here today.
Oh yeah, and it was freezing like a couple of days ago. Actually, even yesterday, I think. Right? It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's crazy the weather.
Yeah, when I got in last night, was it last night? When did I get in? I got in 2 nights ago, and it pretty cold, actually. It was rainy and horrible and cold.
Yeah, it hasn't been too good.
Horrible, too.
It has
Very beautiful.
Definitely hasn't been too good. And then and now all of a sudden it's gorgeous. But I was actually just on with Richie Kotzen. Are you? I know you're friendly with Richie, right?
Yeah, I know Richie. Richie's a great guitar player, great singer.
I know.
Also.
I was telling him, I said, I can't figure out what he does better, sing or play guitar. It's like they're both so amazing.
Yeah, I know. And he's really, really good singer. Last time I saw Richie, I think it was in Japan, probably in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
But he's always been a really, really a good player and a good singer, and he really, really, he deserves whatever good things are happening for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think, he's one of those unsung heroes. And, we were just talking about how, like, in this country, it's been rough, rougher for him than as when he goes out internationally, especially like Latin America and some other places. It's like, it's a whole different ball game. And I'm sure you're no stranger to that too, right? You've toured the world. I mean, have you found, what do you feel about America?
You can have a hot spot somewhere. Like I think he was doing well in Japan when I in the late 90s when I saw him. That solo album then, he was playing good sized venues in Japan. But, you can be hot in Japan and nobody knows you're in America. You can be hot in Europe and nobody knows you're in America. Hot in Japan and Europe and nobody knows you're in America, or vice versa,
I know. I noticed a theme there. Nobody knows you're in America. Well, I want to be known somewhere. So, I mean, the people know us in America, but we're not at the level that we want to be yet. But, And, well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that how we met. Actually, you were... Well, we met, not necessarily how we met, because we met in a diner, believe it or not, in Manhattan. But we became friendly because you were on Z-Rock season 2, and season 2 is.
First, I met you guys on the plane. Remember?
Oh, yes, that's funny. Right. Let me tell this story real quick. We were basically on a plane going to Nam, I think it was, right? And and you were on the plane, and we had a mutual friend, and I had met you at that diner in Upper West Side.
Right.
So
I remember that. I remember that.
And you remembered me, I remembered you. So we started talking. You were telling me about your you had a new show, an all drum show, right?
My slam show, slam show, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was telling you, well, we're doing a TV show, and we started talking. We said, yeah, let's, you were like, hey, listen, maybe I'll come on and do something. We said, sure. And so we worked it out. We pulled some strings, because we have some clout, and we said we want to get the famous Carmine Appice on the show. So, but what do they do? So they write you in. You explain the part that they wrote for you.
Well, it was kind of weird. They wrote me in as a pizza delivery boy, and I ended up playing the drums. But you couldn't really see it because it was on TV on the TV show, so it was so small and fast that, you couldn't even tell who I was. I was like, oh, man, is that it? I got up this early in the morning for that?
Well, you know what? My father said the same thing because he was on the episode with Steel Panther, and he was there all day, and, he must have said his lines 25 times. He was there for hours, and his thing wound up being like 20 seconds, and he's like, that's it? That's what I say. He goes, I'll never do that again. That's a fucking waste of time. And I'm like, listen.
It was pretty, nice just for fun, So it would have been nice to see a little bigger spot.
Of course. Yeah, no, I mean, even just, we had such good dialogue, too. There was like a cool dialogue. But, that's...
Yeah, there was some cool things. I thought it would be cool to have it in there.
Yeah, of course. I don't, listen.
But, hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we don't...
What happens when you have directors and producers?
Exactly.
In charge of stuff.
We have no control over that stuff. And you know how many times there's things that we've done or said that we're like, that? Why did you cut that out? And, you were there for a day. Yeah. Can you imagine doing that all week for for 22 minutes? You're there 5 days. Terrible. So anyway, but listen, it's such an amazing experience. But anyway, so that's how we kind of became more friendly, and then, from there we always see each other here and there, and but
I came down there. I saw you guys at the Mercury Lounge somewhere around that time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And you guys were good. And that's when your drummer had a broken ankle.
Yes, and we were actually considering having you come up and do the show instead of him.
Yeah, I know.
Remember you were
But
gonna?
he did okay. He did all right.
Yeah. No, he's a trooper. But now I wanted to ask you real quick, just because at the timing of this, we usually do our shows about a week in advance. So right now, there's a few days after Dio passed away, which is a very, very sad thing for the whole metal community. It's a major loss. And I was just curious, like, did you know Dio? Have you ever met him? Were you friendly?
Yeah, I've known Ronnie for years. I met him in the days of Rainbow was when I first met him, and we were friends for years. And then my brother Vinny joined Sabbath, and when Ronnie was in there, so once Vinny got in there, and then they went on to do Dio, and then Ronnie became sort of like part of our family. He used to come to family functions with us, and to Christmas, and sometimes like Easter, his birthdays. I remember he came to a bachelor party that they threw for me, and in the 80s he also came to the wedding. So we've been friends for a long, long time, and real close. And on Saturday, Vinny said that Ronnie's in the hospital and Shay's not going to make it. I go, what are you talking about? I knew he wasn't doing as good as he was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but you say he's not going to make it. That was fast. And he walked in the hospital Friday and never walked out. Terrible, really terrible.
And how?
So I think we lost an amazing personality, a nice guy, great singer, the greatest rock singer of heavy metal music to ever live. And he started that devil, the horns thing that everybody does.
Yeah.
But they don't even know where it came from.
And you know what? You also said, I just want to reiterate, nice guy. I mean, I never met him in person, but everybody that I know that knows him has said the same thing, that he's one of those guys that he's just so nice. Like, he was truly very respectful, polite.
Really respectful. He really loves his fans. He's always playing. He always wanted to play. He said to Vinny, he wanted to finish a book, and he wanted to do one more album at least, and it's really sad. It's really, really sad. Now,
for those, I'm sure most people know who you guys are anyway. The Appice brothers. I don't know. We can talk about that in a second. But for those who don't know, just a real brief history. Just tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but you start out was Vanilla Fudge was your first big band, right?
Yeah, that was my first big group.
Then Cactus, right?
Right.
All right, and then from Cactus, that's where. So, and fill me in that after Cactus, what?
Well, then it went to Jeff Beck. Beck over in Appice, and then Rod Stewart, and then Ted Nugent, Nazi, and played with Pink Floyd in that time period.
And don't forget Paul Stanley's
King Cobra, Blue Murdy, Paul Stanley solo album.
Paul Stanley solo album. That's a big one on my list.
Yeah.
But you've got quite a resume there, and also you were like, it's documented that John Bonham, said that there was a lot of things that he picked up from you, right?
Yeah, well, I've been noted now in the magazines and stuff as the guy that inspired John Bonham, so I think that's pretty cool. And Led Zeppelin, when they came out, they opened up for my band Vanilla Fudge, so they were just like the opening act. Nobody knew who they were.
That's amazing. Yeah. And look at that. And to this day, you're here, you're still alive and healthy and vibrant and working. I mean, that's amazing. What is your secret? Is it,
Well, I mean, I have my ailments. They're not life-threatening yet. So, but I just trying to eat healthy and stay healthy, work out. I go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. I'm actually going to go today. I don't eat a lot of meat. I never smoked. I was really a drinker. The thing I smoked was pot in my life, and I stopped that 10 years ago.
What about
I wasn't really a heavy smoker,
Food-wise, though, because this is one of the things I love to talk about on the show is food. You said you don't eat a lot of meat. Like, is that something that as you got older, you sort of tried to change your diet, or were you always like
Well,
always.
I was always like the kind of guy that if it looked like it was going to walk away, I couldn't eat it. Because of that, I don't eat fish and chicken and turkey either.
Really?
So I don't eat a lot of meat either.
So but you were always like that.
Like a hamburger, I'd rather eat a burger than eat a steak.
Right.
Because the steak still looks like it's part of the animal. Sometimes I'll eat a steak, but not very often.
Yeah, but that's interesting coming from you're Italian as Italian as they get, right? I mean.
Yeah, but I eat the meatballs. I'll have meatballs, and I eat all the pastas and pasta with vegetables, and I still have pastas and pizza, pasta, salads. And
so where do you like to eat in the city then? Give me one of your favorite restaurants.
The city?
Yeah. Don't say Carmine's, all right? Don't be cute and say Carmine's.
I've been to Carmine. I've been to a place where you left before on 48th and 7th. It's a Japanese restaurant, a new place.
Wait.
When you go in, it's a big, giant bowl of soup with, vegetarian bowl of soup with miso soup and all that, corn and celery and not celery, corn and cabbage. And
what was the name again? Because you kind of got cut off on the phone.
Sapporo. Just like the beer, Sapporo.
Sapporo?
And
okay.
Yeah, it's really, really good place. There's another place on 70th and Columbus called. I always forget the name. It's another Japanese place with an A. Starts with an A. Pretty much most of the Italian restaurants in Manhattan, they're all pretty good. So any of them, I'll take any of those. Those are all good. And probably that's it. I like some of the Indian stuff. There's another one on 75th and Columbus. It's a good Indian restaurant there.
Yeah, you can't go wrong in New York City with food. There's so much. I was just wondering.
Tonight we're going to this place called Route 66, which is more like a diner. We have a meeting there with my girlfriend Leslie, the radio chick. And so we eat all over the place. And there's a couple of good diners we go to.
All right. Well, we know.
Diner on 77.
Now we know that Miss Carmine Appice does not eat anything that looks like it can move. That's an exclusive. Yeah. Now we got that. All right. Well, I wanted to. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask you real quick, just to clear up, because you told me this story, but I just want everyone else to know officially. Just tell me, your brother is known as, Vinny Appice. And he's Appice. Sorry, he's Appice, and you're Carmine Appice, right? You're Appice, he's Appice. Just tell everybody real quick, what was the reason for that?
Well, Appice was the family way of saying it, so he just kept saying the family way. And I went, when I joined Lush, it said to me, we're going to have one way to say your name. There's so many different ways. Most people said Appice, so I went with the flow.
Okay, so it was just more so for.
It was good for about 4 years until Vinny came out.
Right.
It's going to confuse everybody.
So it was just, but it was more of just, it was an easier to say, easier to remember, basically.
Yeah, and Ludwig Drum Company did an ad at the time. They said everyone wants a piece of the piece,
Well, two monster drummers, two brothers, Appice, Appice, whatever you want to call it. I think it's undeniable. Your resumes speak for themselves.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I don't know if you know it, but I'm going out on tour this summer with Michael Schenker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, me and Michael. I'm going to be in the Michael Schenker group.
Wow, look at that.
We're actually going to play at the Fillmore here at the end of July.
You need an opener?
Around, come see us.
Hey, do you need an opener? Do you need an opening band? Wink.
I think George Lynch is the opening band.
Oh yeah, I think because I saw that they're playing together. They're doing the run. Yeah, all right. Well, well then I'd love to definitely come and hang out if that's cool.
Okay, man. Well, hopefully we'll see you then.
All right, Carmine. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, man. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys.
I will. Bye. All right. Well, there you go. That was guest number 2, and for the first time in at least the Paulie Z Show podcast history, I'm going to have a third caller, and I think This is this caller will trump them all. This is the most infamous one of all. I'm talking about Benny Boy. Benny, say hi.
Hello, hello.
So anticlimactic. I built you up.
I know. I'm, what did you say? Bachelor number 3 here?
Yeah. Well, we had, today, because I had a limited time with my first guest, who was, actually, I don't think you knew who was on. So I had Richie Kotzen was first.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and we just played with him in Virginia recently, and it was a lot of fun. And but he had a limited time because he was going to another radio show. So anyway, but so then I called my good buddy Carmine Appice, and then he did another segment, and we're talking.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and then we're talking a little bit about his Dio, because he was he knew Dio very well, and
yes.
Yeah, obviously that is a great loss for the heavy metal world. And I think just in general, I think it's just he was such a good person that I think just for humanity, it's a great loss because he was a good person. Sometimes you lose celebrities or rock stars or actors, whatever, and it's a loss for the industry, but not necessarily for, humanity,
Right.
But I think
you're right. I mean, I've been reading tributes from not just musicians who worked with him or who knew him, but a lot of people on message boards who had met him at shows and what have you. And you're right. This is like losing kind of the top figures of this particular field. So it's tremendous. I mean, I got to see him live once. I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe it was 2002 out here, and yeah, I mean, he was about 60, and his voice was just completely on. And it's amazing that somebody can do that, up until that age. But you're right, he is perhaps, one of the seminal, heavy metal singers. And you're right, it's a tremendous loss. So it's, such a great, by all accounts, giving individual.
Yeah. Well, I know he's going to be missed. I mean, that's obvious. And, but I don't listen. We could talk about that all day, and I'm sure there's, everybody's going to be doing some sort of tribute, in their own way. And I never met him. I really wish. It's always sometimes the regret is like when someone passes, someone who you were influenced by, and then like Eric Carr is a good example. Like I'm such a huge Kiss fan, and I never got to meet Eric Carr, and that was, for me that was tough because I was like, damn, like, I'll never have that shot of meeting someone who I really looked up to. And same thing with Dio,
Yeah.
So, that sucks. But but the great thing about being an artist is that you leave something. He left us with a wealth of great music. So
yes, absolutely. So much to crank up, and hopefully new people will get into him that maybe didn't even really give him a shot in the first place. But you're right. There's a lot of music he left behind.
Isn't that weird, though? Like when someone dies and then all of a sudden they become more popular?
Yeah, it's just people. That's just life. People they take things for granted because that's just the way life is. People, there's always time or, things just kind of, get blurry and out of focus while they're doing other things. And it's a shame that happens, but we all do it.
Yeah. Well, I've been contemplating killing my band members, and I'm thinking maybe we'll get more record sales. Like if somehow Dave and Joe, were happen to get hit by a tour bus or something.
You should all do that. You should all take the honorable way out, and then we'll all make sure you get you get some royalties out of it.
Well, listen, I wanted to, speaking of music and leaving behind, great art, there are a lot of bands out there that people don't know, even if they do die, like that, there are tons of underground bands. And, we were even talking about with Richie, how like this, unfortunately, he's still considered underground here in the States. I mean, some people, even when he was in Mr. Big and that was successful, that was in Japan. So really, here, he's still trying to build up his name and get the recognition that he deserves. And there are tons of bands out there, and you're when it comes to that, you're the master of digging up these bands. And
well, I don't know about that, but
well,
I do think you're right.
Yeah. I mean, you sent me recently a few bands that bands that I've never heard of, and I wanted to talk about that real quick. And just so you know, I've been getting some I've been getting some Paulie emails. And people who said they missed you having you on the show, so I'm glad you're back on. They were like, "Oh, I love when you talk to Benny about these bands," and
Oh, that's say hi to my mom for me if you read her again. No. That's nice. This is a great show. I've known you forever, so I know what a really impressive voice you have to offer to anyone who wants to listen. But
voice.
the music business, to get back onto your track, you're absolutely right. I mean, especially in Kotzen's case, he's fighting the demise of the record industry, or on the business side, and also just the fact that he's kind of like a singer-songwriter that's guitar-based. I mean, you figure even the top guitar people like Steve Vai are gonna maybe play modest-sized theaters at best, and it's such a finding the right niche for whatever kind of artist you are can be very tricky, as evidenced by Limp Bizkit canceling a tour because, what a surprise, they're not arena worthy anymore. Like, somebody really miscalculated that.
Really, I didn't know that. They just canceled the tour.
They canceled the tour. It was going to be like with Snoop Dogg, and who else? Ice Cube, which actually you think it'd be a draw. I'm surprised those guys would open for Limp Bizkit, but yeah, I think they had an arena tour planned and they just canceled it because I think one gig may have only sold about 500 tickets in an arena of like 28,000. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. That's what I read from somebody who claimed to have read this, and that's awful. So yeah, it's it's hard to know, but yes, unknown bands.
Well, let's talk about the bands you sent me. So you sent me four group. I want to talk about the four bands that you sent. Mitch Malloy, right?
Yeah.
Mitch Malloy, Salty Dog.
Salty Dog.
What was it? Life, Sex, and Death, right?
Right.
And then Circus of Power, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Circus of Power. New York, great New York band, late 80s.
See, I don't know. I don't agree with you. We might as well, let's start with them. I didn't think it was so
They're not
great.
a New York band?
I didn't. Oh, no. I don't know about that, but no, I didn't. I definitely wouldn't use the word great.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly like Circus of Power. I thought it was very typical, just straight ahead rock and roll, but it was it was not very polished and not very focused. I just thought there was nothing that separated them from any other garage band.
Junkyard as well.
Yeah,
that was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much like that. And the opposite side of that was Salty Dog, which kind of production-wise wasn't that far off. I mean, they both. Actually, everyone except Mitch Malloy that you sent me, those other three bands, kind of had I don't know if those are actual records that were released, but they definitely weren't very well produced. I mean, they kind of sound like like demos still, like glorified demos.
Yeah. These were all studio. I think Salty Dog was like a Geffen DGC
really.
release. I think Circus of Power came out on like Epic.
Wow.
And
I'm surprised because they
also Geffen as well. Mitch Malloy was MCA, I think.
Well, Mitch Malloy was very well produced. Like Mitch Malloy was my favorite out of all of them. And if I had to describe him, I would say it was like. And you tell me what you think. But for me, I would say Bryan Adams meets Warrant, and like a little Winger in there or something.
Well, I thought you would find the story interesting because Mitch Malloy was he was the Van Halen singer in '96 for about 5 minutes before actually he decided to leave the band. I mean, he was offered the job, and when And when he saw Van Halen go on the MTV Awards with David Lee Roth, he said, I don't want to do this anymore because now everyone will be expecting that David Lee Roth, this will not go well for me. So he bowed out. But if you look at pictures of the guy and you hear the voice, you can see why Van Halen liked him. He has kind of like a bit of a Sammy Hagar look and vocal range, and but he rocks. He does. You're right, like Bryan Adams, he does ballads, but he does rockers too.
Well, his tone, I think, like the tone of his voice reminded me of Bryan Adams, and a little bit of Winger.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of that gravelly rasp.
Totally.
And
has some grit to it.
Yeah, the grit, but it was
Yeah.
but then it sounded like it was like rocking like Warrant and it's just like it just had that 80s. But what was great about it was not only that it was well produced, but it wasn't just typical hair metal. Like I almost couldn't say that it was actually hair metal. It almost felt like, that's why I say Bryan
like
Adams.
AOR, basically.
Yeah, but it had
rock.
elements of the metal hair rock, but it had elements of AOR and even a little like
pop.
country, a little like pop country. Reminds me.
Yeah.
So it was it was refreshing. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And then Salty Dog, though, on the other hand, was much more closer, I think, to the other band, Circus of Power. But they were, they kind of had to me a little bit of a Van Halen-y feel to them.
Yeah, with
a little bit.
With a bit of a Robert Plant in the vocals. I mean, that guy liked to go high, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean the guitar, but like the groove had this kind of upbeat, kind of fun groove, and I liked the guitar playing. Like there was a lot of cool little, like old school classic rock tricks, but like things that weren't typical. Like like I wouldn't know how to describe it, but it was just very like interesting little licks that were thrown in. But there was nothing overly special. But I liked the Salty Dog. Like if I was going to listen to a band again, I would listen to them. I wouldn't listen to Circus of Power again. Mitch Malloy was definitely my favorite out of that bunch. And now what's the deal with Life, Sex, and Death? This is the band that you had once mentioned.
Oh yeah,
before about they had a shtick.
The band had its own gimmick. I don't know if it was the label or the band itself, but the vocalist's name I believe was Chris Stan. I don't know if he was a millionaire then or became one later, but the gimmick was that the singer would look like a short-haired, shaggy-haired guy who was homeless, and the story was the band picked him up off the street, and he became the vocalist of this band. And I'm told I'd read that he would have this thing of kind of pretending to panhandle outside of the venues where the band was playing its gigs. And then people would kind of be annoyed by it. Then they'd go in and watch the show, and the guy who was, asking for change or whatever it was, the guy singing the songs up on stage. So it was kind of based around this gimmick. You can hear it in the vocals. He's got kind of like a ragged, jagged kind of.
Yeah, I wonder if that was on purpose, though. I mean, if.
Yeah, it's like a Staley.
Yeah.
I figure it's like Lane Staley, but more sort of ambling.
Yeah, I didn't. It threw me off. That's the thing, though. It kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the music. It was very not Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, influenced with a little bit of like, but like a little bit more musical. There was some cool licks in there that were unexpected. But I don't know, his voice. It was just too. It was almost like a karaoke version of Alice in Chains, and it was too much with that.
Right. Yes. Well, that's what happened. I mean, right. It's like.
I'm done.
Sounds like you're brushing your teeth there with an electric brush. I don't know. But you're right. The band didn't catch on for that reason. The vocals, people, I think they get confused when they kind of deal with, because musically the guys look like they were, straight out of like an 80s, metal band. But you've got this vocalist with, glasses and, shaggy hair, and he's kind of a weird, personality, and it didn't mix, and people didn't know what to make of it. So, you figure because it was like a major label band, it's going to get the initial push, but then very quickly it's, the label decides, okay, which band do we need to focus on?
Right.
And this one, obviously, I guess, didn't really make the cut.
Yeah. Well, Well, I mean, overall, I think it was. I'm glad you sent it to me, and I think out of the bunch, just to review real quick, Mitch Malloy was my favorite. So I would say I would recommend getting that. What was the name of that record?
I think it's just called Mitch Malloy, just named after just his name.
Okay, and then honestly, the rest were, Mitch Malloy is the only one that I actually strongly recommend because I think it was really good. If I had to pick, the next in line would be Salty Dog was good. Not great, but solid, good, And then I don't know, the other bands were sort of the same for me. They were just like whatever, But I'm glad you sent it. I'm glad I got to listen to it at least and expand my horizons.
I will have to get some more over to you.
Yes, definitely. Send some more, and then maybe in a few more episodes from now, we'll have you back, and we'll talk a little bit more about those guys too. But I have to say though, at the just to wrap up, Richie Kotzen, once again, I'm telling you, you got it. His stuff is incredible. It is
incredibly talented guy.
It is, sure. And he writes, and the songs are really. That's the other thing too, is that it's not just that he's talented, but he writes really good songs. Does he have that undeniable hit? I guess not yet. But to me, it's all like solid, just really strong stuff. Like you put it on, you never get tired of it. You know what I mean? It's one of those kinds of artists.
There's always time for the man, though. That's the great thing is maybe somebody will just pick up on it. Use a song somewhere, play it somewhere.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, Benny boy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. And I guess, just to wrap up real quick here, email me at yopaulie@thepauliezshow.com, or you can go to zo2.com for more information on the band. My Twitter is twitter.com/zo2paulie. And you can catch this episode and all the other episodes at iTunes, or just type in thepauliezshow.com. And I guess that's it. So this is Paulie Z saying later. She's in love with